Without further ado, let's introduce today's first speaker. In the global north, access to capital is something many of us take for granted. If you haven't yet taken out a loan, it's probably a question of when rather than how or can I. What we often ignore, however, is that access to credit is by no means guaranteed in all parts of the world. The next speaker is a man who believed that credit shouldn't be a rich person's privilege, but should instead be available to any individual in need of a springboard to fulfill an idea, an innovation, a dream. This speaker is the recipient of the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize and founder of the Grameen Bank, Professor Mohammed Yunus. Before constructing the Grameen Bank and supporting hundreds of thousands of low-income households build businesses and earn a living, Mohammed Yunus studied both in Bangladesh and the United States, where he earned his PhD. Yunus has written several acclaimed books about his model for microcredit and uses all this expertise in the United Nations Foundation, where he is a member of the board of directors. Today, Professor Mohammed Yunus presents his approach to poverty alleviation in the unprecedented time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Without further ado, it is our honor to welcome Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Dr. Mohammed Yunus. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you. It's a wonderful occasion to talk to you. You got me right into the topic because you said you take it for granted in some countries, the financial services. That's not true. There's no country in the world where people can take it granted, the financial services for people. You may belong to some privileged groups which can take it granted, but not all people. I'll give you the example why I say so. If you can look at your Google search and so on, if you look for cheap credit or easy credit on something, these are payday lenders. They lend you money, charge you 4%, 4,000% and 1,000%, 3,000% interest rate. So that's the kind of probably finance you are talking about. But most people don't have the real financial services from the banking system as a whole. So you have loan sharks all around, even in the poor countries. They're kind of a playground for all the loan sharks. So that's not what the financial services is all about. That's kind of extracting everything that you have. That's grabbing all your possessions. That's what the loan sharks do. And there's plenty of it in poor countries, but they're very institutionalized in rich countries. Rich country like United States, like United Kingdom, Germany, or France. You have lots of microcredit program now because financial services don't come there. So it's a whole thing is bottom people as a whole don't have access to financial services, period. There's no exception to any country, every single country the same way. Some countries, number of bottom people is large. Some countries is relatively small compared to the total population. But even if it is 10%, if it is 5%, still those are the people who don't have access to financial services. The banks only deal with the people on the top. They don't deal with the people on the bottom. So that's where whole problem arises. And my journey into this became not because I was theoretically challenging the financial institutions or anything. I had nothing to do with banking. That's not my specialization in my PhD or in any of my work in graduate school. I did my PhD the usual way. And then Bangladesh became independent country in 71. I was teaching in the United States. I was a joint teaching. Then since Bangladesh became independent, I said, this is for me to go back, time to go back. So I went back right away and started teaching in one of the universities in Bangladesh, Chittagong University. And the independent Bangladesh, we thought everything would be now coming in a way, the life of the people will change very quickly and so on. It didn't happen. Our dreams became nightmares. So we saw things happening in a worse way than before. And soon we had the famine in the country in 1974. We became independent at the end of 1971. And we are faced with the huge famine throughout the country in 1974. I'm teaching there in Chittagong University. And I felt terrible that I teach such a beautiful subject. I was proud of that subject because it's such elegant theory. Everything's so beautiful, organized. But then suddenly my enthusiasm for the subject disappeared overnight because I see this subject has nothing to do with the poor people, or people dying right in front of us, and we have nothing to do with them. The economics that I teach doesn't give any guidance to see how I can help people who are poor, how to stop people being poor, and so on. So as I was feeling useless, I said, I'm a useless person. I have no use for anybody. So I was trying to discover my use, how I can make myself useful to people, at least to my neighbors. My neighbors happen to be the villagers because this university, Chittagong University, is located among villages. So it's not urban-based university. It's a very, very rural-based university. So I could just walk out of the campus and be with the real people. And that's what I started doing. And I started trying to see, my mission was to see if I can find someone in a day where I can be of some help to that person. And I enjoyed doing that. I did lots of little things. And it went by and I saw the terrible things within the village. And one of those terrible things is loan sharking. Loan sharks lend money to poor people and grab everything they got. And the victims of loan sharks, it's a misery that brings to them. It's just unmeasurable. So I was touched by their problem. And I was wondering if there is something I can do to help the victims, how to protect them, not only after they become victim, before they become victim. What can I do to the, I had no idea because economics never taught me how to help the victims of loan sharks. So as I was feeling fuming against the subject, economics, I was trying to think how I should try to help people who are victims of loan sharks. One idea came, I thought, why not? I tried that. The idea was that why don't I lend the money to the people who are who are the possible victims of loan sharking? So I talked to them as I went around in the village every day, that if you need money, come to me, I'll give you the money. Gradually, one or two people tested me out, whether I'm real or whether I really meant it. I said, it's very simple. You take money and pay me back. No, nothing to do with anything else. Just as simple as that. And they started coming to me. And I started enjoying it. The more I did, the more people came, more I started enjoying what I'm doing. I had plenty of money in my pocket because I'm coming from the USA. So I brought money from my work for the work I did. So I started using this money for this purpose. I started enjoying. And then when I was coming to a point where my money was exhausting after a couple of years, and I thought, why don't I go to the bank to see if they will lend the money to these people? Bank said, no, bank cannot lend money to the poor people. I said, why not? They said, they're not creditworthy. This is the new word for me, not creditworthy. I said, how do you know they're not creditworthy? They said, they're poor, they cannot pay back. I said, they're paying back to me. I said, well, they thought, wow, it could be happening, but for a temporary period to convince you that so that you can give more money. I said, no, they're doing it in a very consistent way. Anyway, they didn't listen to that. They keep on repeating that poor and not creditworthy. Then over time, I'd get furious. I said, should you tell the people that they are not creditworthy? Or that people should tell you that you're not bank worthy, or you're not people worthy? So it's between what you say and what you are. And that's what the test is. So I challenged them to create a bank worthy of the people so that they can deal with that. So out of that, I created this bank, Grameen Bank, to make sure poor people can borrow money and go ahead with their life and so on. And it worked. I called it Grameen Bank and it created in 1976 and continued to expand and expand, became all over the country. In the meantime, the word microcredit was kind of coined because that word didn't exist. So since we started explaining what we do, it's just a little credit for the poor people. So it became known as microcredit. And microcredit has become something known to the whole world. Today it's repeated all over the world. So the basic thing is, how do we do that? That's the important thing. Is it the same thing, only same banking that we do in the big banks, or is it different than the big banks? Or it's just lending smaller amount and the bigger amount? This is the difference. No, that's not the difference. It's a completely big, new banking system. Banking system, the fundamentals of basic banking is you must have collaterals. If you don't have collaterals, banking cannot be done, because you have to have against your loan something concrete which hold you responsible to pay back. So if you try to do that for the poor people, they will never be able to borrow money from a bank. So I dismissed the whole idea of collateral. There's a major thing that we did in our work to dismiss the whole idea of collateral, free banking from collateral. Then what happens? I said, well, the rest of it is very simple. I look at whenever I need a little rule or a policy, how to follow that in my bank, because it's a new bank, I had no idea how to run it. So I look at the conventional banks, the big banks, how they do it. Once I learn how to do it in each piece, I just do the opposite. And it works beautifully for the poor people. They go to rich, I go to the poor. They take collateral, I say no collateral. They go to the lawyers, they're surrounded by lawyers. I said, no lawyers in my bank. So even today, after so many years, microcredit, Grameen Bank doesn't have any lawyers in the system. We lend out about $3 billion a year without any collateral, without any lawyers, anything. So they go to men, we go to women. They go to the city, we go to the village. So they give big loans, we give the small loans. So everything you see is a whole series of just the opposite, reverse of what the conventional banks do. So this is where the basic thing is. And the people need money, but the banking is designed for something else, for the people who already have lots of money. I challenged the banks. I said, look, the whole idea of banking is to lend money to the poor people, to the people. But you lend money to people who already have lots of money, and don't lend the money to people who don't have money. It's very strange. You should be doing the opposite. You should be lending money to the people who don't have money. Then after you've exhausted it, go on the higher steps on the income side. But you do absolutely the wrong way. So this is what we did. And I started saying that credit should be accepted as a human right. These are my things. I said poverty should be in a museum. It doesn't belong to any civilized society, human society, because poverty is not something created by the poor people. It's created by the system. Then I got involved with the system because I'm accusing the system. I said, poor people are just like a bonsai tree, the little tree that you have in a flower pot. You take the tallest tree and take its seed of a tallest tree, and put it in a flower pot and let it grow. It will not grow as tall as you see in the forest. It will be probably 0.5 meter high or 1 meter high. That's about it. Exactly like the tree that you see in the forest, but not as tall as the one you see. Why? Is something wrong with the seed? No, the seed is as good as any other seed. And it's a very good seed that we selected. Then why doesn't it grow? Simple explanation is we didn't give the seed enough space to grow, enough soil to grow, enough base to grow. That's what the problem was. That's why it grew very little. I said, poor people are bonsai people. There's nothing wrong with their seed. Simply, society never gave them the space or a base to grow as tall as everybody else. So it's the fault of the system, not of the people. Poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system. If we fix the system, there'll be nobody in the world who will be a poor person, because human beings come packed with unlimited creative capacity. And that capacity will keep him and her all the way up. There's no problem with that. Simply, you have to remove all those obstacles you create. Not only you don't support them, you create obstacles after obstacles. And banking system is an obstacle. And they push you to go to the loan sharks, whether you're a rich country, poor country. Now, microcredit, Grameen Bank, is also is run in the United States. We have something called Grameen America. In Grameen America, which is running for about 12 years now, started in Jackson Heights, New York, and now it's working in 14 cities with 25 branches in all these cities, 140,000 borrowers in the bank already in this Grameen America. And it took us one decade or 10 years to come to reach a total amount of loan going to all these women. These are 100% women, going to all these women to come to $1 billion. So we're very happy celebrating that we have finally reached out to these women, giving $1 billion loan over 10 years and with perfect repayment. Repayment is near 100%, 99.5% and above. So no collateral, nothing. And loans start at $500, $600 and go up as we go on, repeat loans and so on. So you grow up. So then we have come to a stage after 12 years now. We are at a stage now we are giving $1 billion a year right now. So they have grown quite a bit in capacity taking and so on. Again, it shows that not only in Bangladesh or a poor country, in a city like New York City or a country like the United States, in all big cities like San Francisco or Los Angeles or Boston or Houston, where we were, people are the same. They are all waiting because we cannot reach out to them because of the limitation of the money we have, because we are not a bank, so we cannot mobilize funds by ourselves. So we have to look for somebody who will lend us the money or give us some donations to continue. And it's a self-sustaining business. It covers all the costs. There's no problem, no liability to it, no shortage of money in terms of covering the cost. So this is what it's all about. And I keep repeating that credit is the kind of oxygen for people. If you don't have this oxygen with people, people become people cannot activate themselves. So in order to activate your entrepreneurship, you need this oxygen, the credit. If you connect the people with credit, they become active, they become entrepreneurial. They can take care of themselves, they can move on with their life. They don't have to wait for anybody. But the basic thing is missing from the whole thing. As I was looking for the poverty issue, looking at the poverty side, I look at poverty is a small issue compared to the total issue that we have. Entire world system, economic system, is positioned in the wrong way. I said, if you get a report card of the performance of the economic system that you have done, is terrible. Is something shocking result that you have produced by the economic system that we are pursuing. We have been believing in its strength and so on. Actually, it's pushed us into a very wrong path, a suicidal path for us. I said the net result what you have created, if you push them together, all the positives and negatives, net result is we have created a world of terrible global warming. That's the result of our economic system. It's again not something somebody ordered from the sky, from the heaven. It's what we have done to ourselves, pursuing the policies that we pursue within the economic system. Global warming. Then terrible thing that we do and continuously within that system is a wealth concentration. All the wealth is concentrated in a few people. I said, if you just take a graph or a map on a piece of paper and you put on the number of people under a certain level of income, say $1 a day, how many people under $1 a day, you put them there, $2 a day, $3 a day, $5 a day. If you go to $5.50 per day, you have half the population of the entire world, $5.50, that's all. And then you have the $10 a day, $100 a day, still large number of people are there. By the time you say probably cover $1,000 a day, $10,000 a day, you have covered almost 90% of the population of the entire world. So all the population are in that area, $5.50, $10, $100, and so on. And it becomes thinner and thinner, smaller and smaller as you go up. But by the time you get to the $10,000 a day, it becomes very, very small, very thin. But all are pushed down there. But still there are people who are $100,000 a day, $500,000 a day, even $500 million. It goes on. But it's very rare, very few people in the top. So all the people, the summary of it, all the people are at the bottom of the income level. 99% of the people are at the bottom of the people. But if you look in the same map, if you put the wealth, where do the wealth go? If you go to the bottom part, $5.50 people, there is no wealth there. If you go to $100 a day, still the wealth is not there. It's very thin there, very, very small dots here and there. But as you go up and up, way up in the sky on this map, all the wealth is there. So 99% of the wealth is owned by 1% of the people. So that 1% is way up. Their daily income is, you can imagine, $1 million a day or whatever. They are the people who are on this map, on the sky, commanding 99% of the wealth. And bottom is only 1% of the wealth to 99% of the people who are at the bottom. So my point is, there's a big gap between where the people are and where the wealth is. So there's a difference between the wealth and the people. So this distance between the people and the wealth is getting wider and wider. Because wealth is getting higher and higher. You say, well, poor people are improving their life too. Yes, some dust comes from the top, and that dust increases the wealth of the poor people here in the bottom, may increase the level and so on. So the poverty is built into the system. That's what I'm saying. My point is, it's wealth concentration. If it is so, you are the students, figure that out. That the wealth is one side, people are one side. That's a wrong system. So in the real system, it should be, well, wealth and the people would be converging with each other, overlap with each other. Then it will be the real system. That's a challenge for us to make it happen, to make that happen. And the third one that in the report card is artificial intelligence is coming to the world in a very big way. It is in the early stage, but it's shown the face of the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence brings a simple message. Machine can do better job than from the people. So there's no reason for people to stay in work. Machine will take over. If it is so, machine will take over all the jobs, all the activities of human being, not just the factory work, not just the low wage work. Even the highly paid CEO, we will not need him anymore or need her anymore, because a machine CEO will do better job than anybody else. Machine professor will teach us much more better than a human professor and so on. Machine singer will sing better than the human being. That's the theme of the whole thing, that machine can do better than human being. If that is so, then there is no place for human being on this planet. And that is what the system has created. And the machine doesn't suddenly came up. Machine is produced by the system that we have created. That is the net result of that system that we built. It pushed ourselves into running after the artificial intelligence to replace human beings. So ultimately, human beings will become the garbage on this planet. They have no need for human beings anymore. Maybe they will be mopped out from the planet. This is not needed anymore. In any way, today, human being is the most endangered species on this planet because of the global warming, because of the wealth concentration, because of the artificial intelligence. So this is the result. Here, poverty is a side issue. It's a side issue of the wealth concentration, because all the wealth disappeared on the sky. It has a built-in power to fly up, so it doesn't stay with the people in the bottom. So this is the system that we will. And unless we redesign the system, like we did in the case of microcredit, that's why I was elaborating it a little bit. It's not a simple banking and so on. It's a completely redesigned banking system, which does everything opposite. If we can redesign the economic system to do everything the opposite way, then we can bring the wealth and the people together to meet and overlap and enjoy each other's company. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that speech, Professor Yunus. We are getting a lot of, your speech definitely gathered a lot of attention and a lot of questions. So one attendee, referring to the start of your speech, is wondering, how do you ensure that you even get paid back when you don't operate on collateral?
That's a trade secret. You want to know? It's a very simple thing. You see, the explanation I gave, the word credit means trust. I said the conventional economics took that word trust, credit, and built a credit system based on total distrust. You will not hear any banking anywhere without having lawyers and all those documentation, signing and committing everything. And we went back to the basic. We took credit as a trust and built the whole system based on trust. That's what the takeoff is. So it's a trust-based thing, how to reinforce the trust thing. And that's a mechanism that we have learned by doing our things in our own way. And this is you in the beginning, they say, oh, trust my work in Bangladesh. This is a very unknown word in other countries. But if you think it works, oh, thank you, but we don't have to try it. Our world is total distrust. I said, you're wrong. Human beings is trust. So you just build the things on distrust and you became mesmerized by this word, distrust. So we do the same thing in the United States. People say, are you crazy? Bringing this idea of lending money, $1 billion without no papers? You will be in jail very soon because you cannot pay anybody anything because nobody will pay you a penny out of that. I said, you are completely wrong. I dared it, started it. I dared it in Bangladesh in the first place. Nobody believed that it can be done even in Bangladesh. I said, bankers always said, you give the money to the poor people. First thing they will do, they will eat it up because they're hungry. Their stomach is empty. So after they eat it up, no matter what you do, you beat them up, torture them, they cannot produce money for you. It's gone. So this is what you're doing. I said, no, you are completely wrong. And people need money. If they see it's working for them, they'll be sane enough to return the money so that they can get more money in future. It's a very logical thing to do. So this is what we do.
Thank you very much. Again, people are very curious about the applicability of the model elsewhere, and particularly in developed countries. And an attendee is wondering, does microcredits only work in close-knit communities where an entire group acts responsible for repaying the loan? Or is your model just as efficient in more individualistic societies?
Well, I guess you cannot be more individualistic than the United States, more individualistic than the neighborhood in the low-income neighborhood in New York City. They don't know each other. They live in the same building, same place. They don't know who lives next door to you. Never seen you who you are. So that's the neighborhood that we work. And most of our borrowers, since we had to go to the bottommost, and the bottommost people are mostly immigrants, and still bottommost and helpless, completely helpless, are the recent immigrants. And the recent immigrants, if you go to the neighborhoods like in Jackson Heights and other neighborhoods in USA, in Harlem is more stable, but in immigrant majority neighborhoods, they come from different countries. They don't understand each other's language. The language they don't know at all is English, and not a word of English. So they are speaking Spanish, they're speaking Haitian language, or they're speaking Indian languages, Chinese languages, not English, because they brought their own language. So it's very difficult to communicate even. So we had to hire somebody who can speak their language from their own community to explain what we do. So we have different language people going around talking to their people, explaining to them. They're very suspicious of what we do because they're already exposed. Their seniors who came earlier about the loan sharks, the people who give you money and break your skull to get your money back. So those kind of people are there. So these are the new kind of people who promise you money, and then when you don't give the money, they break your leg and squeeze out your money. And most important thing is they don't have any documents. Not only they are poor, these are undocumented people. They have no identity. So even something goes wrong, you cannot catch them. They can disappear because they have no identity. There's no valid documents in them. So they can disappear anytime they want. So these are the people, I would say 60% of the Grameen borrowers right now, out of 140,000, 60% is Latino, not Latino from one country, Latino from all over Latin America. These are the mostly Mexicans, and then you have the Colombians, you have the other Latin American countries, all the things that you hear. They are the ones who did, and we do that. So it's not a question of same familiar family ties or village ties or some ties, nothing, no ties. They don't know each other, simply. They just drifted and ended over in a place where they don't know anybody else.
No, thank you. That was convincing. Grameen America.
Yes, they wanted to know, you said they were curious. One easy way, just Google it, Grameen America, and find it out. This is an American organization, so you can see everything is documented. You can find all the information.
Thank you. The next attendee is wondering, considering that the Grameen Bank started from your individual conviction and your individual effort, do you think that it is up to the individual to help the least fortunate people, or is it the government?
Government is a representative of the people. If people want to do something, government has to do it. So people has to lead, not just hand over the responsibility and go and sleep. Let them do it. That's not the right thing. I said, the more we leave to the government, the more worse off you are, because government will not do it. They will just keep on promising as they do most of the time. They will, and there is a limitation. There's a 4-year limitation. There are 5-year limitation. Whatever they have to do within the 5 years, they are not looking for the future in the long-term way. They are just to make you happy. And when the election time comes, well, we almost started it or prepared it, now ready to go. You vote for me again, and done. Now we don't have to wait because everything is ready. All we have to do is to cook and deliver it to you. But that cooking, it never ends. It keeps on cooking. So no, this is a limitation of politicians. I'm not condemning them. This is the way they have to function. They do good things, but the people have the power to do enormous things, not little things. We are in big numbers. Government is a small number. Government has the power of the administration. Government has the power of legislation. Government has the power of the finance. But we have the power of intention. We have the power of creativity. One thing which is missing in government is creativity. Government is never creative. Government is run by bureaucratic way because they have to. They have no option. By orders, by circulars, by rules. Individual is the creative person. If he faces a problem, he topples over it. He doesn't wait for the, but the government cannot do that. Government has to get stuck there until it has been fixed in the back, and they have to wait for other things. Human being goes on. So if you want to use the creativity of human being, you have to focus on human being. Now, the last point I will make on the creativity, this generation of yours, this generation, I keep repeating, this generation is the most powerful generation in human history. Why? Not because they're smarter than any other generation. They are not. They're just like any other generation. But this generation is fortunate enough to get the technology which no other generation ever had. That technology made them into Superman and Superwoman. That person now can do the things which millions of people together could not do before, is one individual. So one individual backed by technology and coming with creative ideas can change the whole world. One individual, you don't need two, just one individual, come up with a creative idea. One creative idea, one little baby step will take you to 1,000-mile journey because you have the technology, you have the power to make it happen. So the first thing I would say to the young people, be aware that you are different. Be aware they are most powerful. All you have to do now, figure out what do you want to use this power for. If you imitate your parents, you're wrong. Your parents were completely different people. Your grandparents, of course, is very different. You are most powerful person. You are literally, you are a genie. You can do you have the power of a genie to do things. So be prepared for that, using that power, and figure out what you want to use this power of genie to do. Unless you figure that out, it will be all wasted. So I would say between government and government doesn't have the genie, but the people have the genie. Young people have the genie. So this is the power. This is what you see, what makes sense to you. And first of all, don't listen to people older than your generation. They're obsolete. They created this mess. Global warming is a mess. Wealth concentration is a terrible thing. It's a ticking time bomb. It will explode all over the world, everywhere, because you created it. And artificial intelligence, of course, is coming. You have to fight with that. So be prepared for that and make it happen. Undo everything and design things in a different way. And I try to explain that one way I see what you should be doing. This is my idea, not your idea, but you can figure it out yourself. I said, I would suggest that you create a world of 3 zeros. Zero number 1, zero net carbon emission. The world that you want to build will have zero carbon emission. How do you do that? What are the steps you take to get there? How long will it take? You figure that out. It's your task, your calculation. And zero wealth concentration. Wealth will not be concentrated. It's zero concentration. Wealth and people live together. That's the world that you want to build. And it's a zero unemployment, because artificial intelligence is coming with 100% unemployment. We are talking about creating a world with zero unemployment, because human beings are not created to remain idle. That doesn't go with the human being. The fact that unemployment exists, it shows our economic system is definitely wrong.
Thank you very much for that answer. So speaking of your 3 zeros, the zero poverty, zero unemployment, zero net carbon emissions, I've heard the word business come again and again in your speech. So would you say that in the years to come, that it will be the responsibility of the corporations to drive a green transition rather than more businesses rather than governments driving a green transition?
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you fixed it up. You didn't use the word corporation very far. You come back to the business. Because I'm saying it's individual who will drive the change, not the government. Government will only follow what you want to do because you are the government. So what you want, that's what government will do. So you have to lead the government, not government has to lead us. If the government is leading us, we'll be way behind. Is that the people will be running far ahead of the government, so the government has to run behind it so that they can catch you. So this is it. It's the people. People in what form? One of the things I try to draw attention to, the economic system, present economic system is strong because it created a system where everybody has to have a job. I said, this is a total mess of understanding of a human being. Human being is born as an entrepreneur, but the economic system pushed him believe that he has to find a job. If you don't find a job, if you're unemployed, it's your fault. And all the education system has been built to make you a job seeker. So you have to have a good degree, you have to go to good school so that you can have a good job, ready to go. Good salary, good retirement benefits and all that stuff. I said, that's absolutely the wrong way. Human beings, as I said, is a packed with unlimited creative capacity. If you believe that is in a remote, if you believe that human beings are packed with unlimited capacity, job is the end of creativity. Job doesn't like creativity. Job is the opposite of creativity. Job likes following orders, following rules, following protocols. If you derail from that, you are in trouble. You're not successful in your job. Job takes you step by step in follow how good you are in following steps, and that's what the job is. So if you want to undo yourself as a human being, job is the way to do that. You are nobody. No, you are no more. You are no longer yourself. You become a sort of a new version of a slave that you work for somebody else. You become a mercenary. You see, I talk about the wealth concentration. The people who amass this wealth, all the wealth in their control. Where did they get this wealth from? From you and from me, because I work for them. I collect the wealth for them and they pick it up and go up. If we don't work for them, they will not be the one on the top. See, so we became the mercenary for them, and we complain about them too. We are the mercenaries collecting and following their orders and doing and giving our life to make them successful, so that they have more profit for them. If your company is making profit, they give you a bonus, little bit, and they get all the money for themselves. This is what the life is. So that's the job. I said human beings are born as entrepreneurs. The schools are designed for making job-ready young people. I said that's a shame. You should be producing life-ready young people, not job-ready young people. Job will be the least of their concern. So you should be preparing people, young people, to become entrepreneurs. That's not what we teach in young people. We talk about how to appear in job interviews. What kind of dress you wear when you go to job interviews, those kind of things, but not what you want when you want to be an entrepreneur. Where do you find the money? Where do you do? If you fail, what you do? If you fail again, what else you do? Those kind of things. It's not discussed. It's a business school, and business school again teaches young people to go and join a company, make them make more money. That's all. Mercenaries, top mercenaries. This is the Sandhurst of the business people. They train those soldiers to go and work for them. I said, that's the wrong system. We are all entrepreneurs. Why don't you be entrepreneur? Then we need the financial system. Our financial system is geared to helping the people at the top, not helping at the bottom. So entrepreneurship doesn't come out. In the beginning, I mentioned the finance is the oxygen for entrepreneurship. That oxygen doesn't exist. So we are pushed into becoming job seekers. I said, the moment you create the financial system, everybody will be an entrepreneur. Who wants to be in line to get a job? Why should I be waiting? When do I get fired? I don't care. because I don't fire myself. I'm the one who runs the business. So so the entrepreneurship is the key. Then we become all entrepreneurs. And to conclude, I would say if we all become entrepreneurs, supposing, imagination is something very important. If you imagine all the people in the world become entrepreneurs somehow, will there be wealth concentration? No, there will be no wealth concentration because everybody is picking up their own wealth. Why should there be wealth concentration? So this is the business that we talk about when we're doing microcredit, when we're doing Grameen Bank. We saw the healthcare problem of the poor people. We see the toilet. There's no toilet in the village. So we created a company to produce toilet and sell toilet, and Grameen Bank give the loan to the people to buy a toilet and set it up in their homes. It became a big program. We produce lots of toilets, and people have lots of toilets all over the country. Everybody has a toilet now. Every Grameen Bank borrower family has a toilet, and others followed that because it says even the poor people have toilet. How come we don't have toilet? Rich people, women complain, so they have the toilet. So toilet became a business for us, but business of a different kind. We didn't want to make money out of it. We wanted to solve problem. We bring solar energy in the country. Created a solar energy company to bring solar energy in the household level, so that I give you a solar home system, and you give me the money which you spend on the kerosene every month, every monthly budget of your kerosene, give it to me. I give you a solar home system. For 3 years, you do that every month, and then you don't have to pay anything because we got our money for the cost of the solar system that you got, according to specification of power that you need. So if you are a small guy, you have a small consumption of power, you get a smaller solar home system. If you're a big guy, big money, you give a big money, you spend a lot of money on kerosene, so you give us the money and give you a big system. It became a nationwide program again. But we did not to make money, to solve a problem. So people say, why do you do this business if you're not making money? Is this business at all? I said, of course it's business. Just because we don't profit doesn't mean that it's not a business. There's no law in Bangladesh which says you must take profit, otherwise government will put you in jail. There's no such law. It's my decision. So finally I said, this is a new kind of business which economists never taught us, because they thought we are driven by self-interest. But the kind of business we are doing is driven by collective interest. So this is the two interest. So the economists only ran away with the collective self-interest. I said, they made us money-making robots, but which we are not. We are human being with all dimensions. We have self-interest, at the same time collective interest. So we created a business on the basis of collective interest. We call it social business. And we define it by saying it's a business to solve problem without taking any personal profit. Company makes profit, profit is rolled back into the business, not distributed to the individuals or the owners. So that is now all these problems you are talking about, global warming, artificial intelligence, and all that, healthcare and housing and sanitation, everything. All these can address. If these are problems, then we have to design social business to solve it. And you and I will be designing it. You and I will be working behind it. That's what the education system will teach us, that we are problem solvers. Human beings are problem solvers. Human beings are not just simply create problems and wait for the government to solve it. That's not true. We are born as problem solvers. We are creative. We are problem solver. We are go-getters. And that's what the human beings are.
Thank you very much. Very comprehensive answer. As you can imagine, many of people's questions are also about the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll shift a little bit towards that as well. And they are wondering particularly whether you think that governments have paid enough attention to the plights of the small businesses while imposing draconian restrictions during the pandemic.
Well, first I will say COVID-19 pandemic has revealed all the weaknesses in the system. You see it very clearly. You just mentioned some, the poor people losing their income and where the government is helping them. Why they're losing their job? Why they are losing their income? We have to ask that question. COVID-19 came, and then when they're losing their business, losing their income, suddenly they're helpless. And not only they're helpless in where they live, They are leaving, they have to leave the place where they used to live because they can't pay the rent here. In India, they were saying millions of people right after COVID-19 began, millions of people on the street, on the highways. Why? Because they are walking home, go back home from the cities. It's like ants coming from all directions, moving into the direction of their homes. Why did they have to come to these cities, leaving their home? And why they are walking? They are walking because all the transports are stopped because of the quarantine, because of the lockdown. Everything is stopped. Now they are walking. They are desperate, so desperate. They are taking these little babies, little families, everything together to go home because they cannot live in the city. They don't have the money to eat them, but the money to live. So they are heading for home. And home is where? 100 miles from here, 50 miles from here? No, 500 miles from here, 700 miles from here. And they're the journey they're making. So they showed that why, the first question is, why people have to leave their place of birth to find survival livelihood 500 miles away. Why economics could not create livelihood, survival livelihood, right where we are born? What's the problem? They said, oh no, the cities have all the facilities, they have the infrastructure and all the interactions and everything there. Are you talking about 1920, 1921? This 21, everything is in the village. You have the communication in the village, you have the transportation in the village, you have the internet in the village, you have the telephone in the village. So why business has to be in the city? Why doesn't be in the, why call centers should be located in the city center? This has nothing to do with the city center. All you pick up the phone and answer a question raised by somebody in the United States, if you're in India. So if you're in India, why should be the city center of India? Why shouldn't be in your own village, have a call center and have all your kids around? You walk back from your paternal home and walk there and do the work. You don't have to go someplace else. So these are the basic questions that they've revealed all this thing. And then government is trying hard to make sure the only thing they can do is give them free money. That's all. That's not a solution. That's a kind of taking care of the temporary situation that is arisen from that. Temporary action doesn't mean you have solved the problem. Problem is hidden away for the time being. That's all. Why don't we solve it? That we make a decision that nobody has to leave their home, wherever they are born, for their livelihood economic, for livelihood and business or enterprise. Nothing. They have not even don't have to work for any place away from their home. They can walk to the place and come back to home. They don't have to live in slums or anything else. It's possible today. But if you say, oh, well, I cannot change it overnight. Why not? Things you have done in such a messy way, we have to take very outrageous decision now. Because you can't say, well, do it slowly. Slowly, by doing slowly, we're dead. We don't survive because, as I said, we are most endangered species on the planet. We don't have much time left. So we have to do outrageous decision to make things happen overnight. And pandemic gives us the opportunity because the machine is stopped. So if you start different way. You don't start the same way. So if you start the same way, you go to the same place. You go to the same journey. I keep explaining that we are in a train, a fast train, which is taking us to our last destination, which is death and perishment, and we all perished because global warming people are telling us you have only a couple of decades left to come to 1.2, 1.5 degrees Celsius, and then another decade or so to reach 2 degrees Celsius, and that's over. And that's not a long time. So I said, that train suddenly stopped. Corona has stopped the train. Now it's our opportunity to get off the train and say, forget it, we are not going back to this train. We have to take a new train which will keep us away from the destination. We don't want to go to the last destination that they have. That's a suicidal path. So my decision, my pleading is, our decision should be no going back. It's a decision and we have to implement that. We don't want to go back where we're coming from. This is an opportunity to go to another destination. And I said, if you follow the same old rules, same old procedures that we have in our world, the same old system, we go back to the same train and go to the same suicidal path and finish it. That's why our young generation, the teenagers, are marching on the street, calling for future, different way, Fridays for Future. Every Friday they do the march, and they are blaming their older generation, their parent generation, saying you are selfish, you are irresponsible, you destroyed our future. Our children accusing us that we are irresponsible because we have stolen their future. How harsh can it be? Still, we are not aware. Or we are not aware that our house is burning. We hear about it in television and some speeches or some writings. Our house is burning, but we keep on the party inside the house. We're enjoying it. GDP growth, prosperity, and all the junk that we talk about inside that house, and have fun. And in the meantime, fuel that house, a fire in the house. But we don't wake up. I said, why don't we wake up? My only answer is probably we are addicted to the system. We can't wake up. We have to do that. So young people who didn't get addicted yet, this is their chance to say, house is burning, we must stop the fire. And stopping the fire cannot be done if you go to the same road, because the same road will keep on taking us the same destination of fire. So if you want to go to a new destination, you have to build new roads. That's where the social business comes. That's where the individual entrepreneurship comes. That's where the redesign of banking comes. That's where the redesign of education system comes, only to show that this is a possibility. These are happening. These social businesses are real. These credit institutions are real. You have to create social business micro-entrepreneurial banks so that they don't have to walk to the miles away from their home. They can start their own businesses right here where they live, because the financing system is there. They can be entrepreneur because all the primary goods are produced there. They don't have to send it to the city to be processed. They can process it right where they're grown and have a life for themselves. This is a challenge for them.
Thank you very, very much. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wouldn't want you to be cut off because we only have a few, I think we have a few seconds left. So thank you very, very much for joining us. It was a privilege to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Appreciate it.